Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome to Little Mourners. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and now today we'll be talking about the first of Muharaam, and we'll be talking about the majlises and also who was involved in Muharaam and also the Battle of Karbala. And now to talk to me and share information, ideas and question answers, we have Sister Alicia, and she'll be joining in with the majlis story and also poems and answering some questions for us. So first of all, we're going to start off with the story about the arrival in Karbala, and it's started by Sister Alicia.
Arrival in Karbala. Hussein's caravan reached Karbala. Thousands of Yazid soldiers were already there, having arrived long before the Imam. The small tribe living in Karbala gathered around Hussein's caravan. Imam Hussein asked about the price of the land in Karbala. He then bought the entire land. Then he first spoke to the menfolk of the tribe. O menfolk of Karbala, we have not come here to fight. Yazid soldiers will fight with us and we will be killed. They will not bury our bodies, and our bodies will be left to the wild animals of the desert. I request a favor from you. Please bury our bodies. Imam Hussein then turned to the womenfolk of the tribe. Ladies of Karbala, your menfolk, out of fear of Yazid soldiers, might not bury our bodies. Ladies, when your men are working in the fields, please come out of your house and bury our bodies. Somehow Imam Hussein did not feel the men nor the woman would carry out his request. Suddenly he turned to the children who had gathered and spoke gently to them. Children, if your father or mother are unable to bury us, I beg you to throw a fistful of sand over our bodies while you are playing in the field. That way, children, our bodies will slowly get buried. Then he turned to everyone who had gathered around and spoke again. My second request to you all is to look after the people who will come to visit our graves after our death. They will be my guests, so please look after them and feed them for 3 days. Imam then ordered the tents to be pitched by the river. It was very hot in Karbala, and the supply of water was absolutely essential for survival. Abbas, commander of Hussein's army, with his men started to pitch the tents by the river. The commanders of Yazid's army ordered their men to pull out Hussein's tents. They stopped Hussein's tents from being pitched by the river. Abbas became very angry. He pulled out his sword and wanted to kill the enemies. Abbas, the lion son of Ali, was like his father. He was very brave and strong. The enemies feared him. If he wanted the tents to be pitched by the river, then Yazid's men, even though in thousands, would not be able to stop him.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. So that story continues on, and I have the rest of it here, and it's just basically explaining about the arrival in Karbala and how Imam Hussein and the rest of his companions and friends were setting up their tents, and also they were trying to get water. So this continues. Hussein saw what was happening and quickly stepped in. He knew his brother's temper and strength. Abbas, my brother Abbas, put your sword back. Abbas, we have not come here to fight. Later on, people will say we started the battle for water. Abbas, my brother Abbas, calm down and put your sword back. Let us move away from here. We will pitch our tents elsewhere. Abbas thought his brother to be his master and always listened to his commands. He put his sword back and ordered his men to pitch their tents away from the river. This was on the first of Muharaam. As nights and days passed by, the scene in Karbala had changed. Day by day, Yazid's army increased in number. Nearly 20,000 of Yazid's soldiers surrounded Imam Hussein's tents. Why so many to fight no more than 72 men in Imam Hussein a.s. army? Despite having so many men in Yazid's army, his commanders were still worried because the 72 men in Hussein's army were no ordinary men. They were brave, faithful, and did not fear death. Yazid's soldiers knew this and therefore thought of a way to weaken Imam Hussein's army. Later in Muharaam, Yazid's commanders ordered their men to stop the water from reaching Hussein's tents. There were many ladies and children with Hussein, and they suffered a lot without water or food. For 3 days, one could hear children crying for water. Al-Atash, 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 water, 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 thirst, thirst, thirst. Abbas could hear this. He could hear his beloved Sakina crying for water. Abbas loved Sakina dearly and always got her anything she wanted. Every time Abbas heard Sakina crying for water, he shook with grief. Abbas, poor Abbas, could not bear to hear Sakina crying. Al-Adash, Al-Adash, Al-Adash echoed through the land of Karbala for 3 days and nights. Many little children had died from the thirst and hunger. So that was just a story to explain about what happened on the 1st of Muharram and also explaining about the arrival in Karbala. And now we're going to move on to a few questions to Sister Alicia, and they'll just be giving us a few more facts. So first of all, what happened on this day?
On this day, Imam Hussein went to Karbala.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And in Karbala, what did Imam Hussein alayhi salam do?
Imam Hussein put up tents for the people to be in.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And now we're going to, so that was just a few facts, and now we're going to move on to a poem that Sister Alicia has for us and will later be continued on.
With the dim light of the crescent moon, the new year unfurls insidiously, like black clouds of monsoon, casting shadows of doom and gloom, thick shades of black that drape the earth, writhing the bleeding as though wind brings images. A severed arm, a pierced throat, a headless body. Oh my Abbas, oh my Ali Asghar, oh my Hussein, dripping black blood like black gold, that energizes the rusty dead soul. The black garb of night, devoid of color and pleasure, hides the vibrant colors of truth, pure and untainted, only to be seen with the spirit of the eye, the spirit of the seeker seeking the truth.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for that poem. And I'll just continue on with that poem. So, truth in its gleaming armor faces the black beasts in Yazid's army, the blackened hearts of the garblers, the blinding blackness of ignorance. The rare black rose of the desert gives up its precious petals to the wind, the fragrance drifting in the valleys and hills of time. The scent of the tuber tree, the scent of Yusuf's shirt, the scent of poetry of Ali, the heavenly scent of pure divine beings. The banner falls with a loud crash, but the words like seeds scatter far and wide. The black fertile land brings forth a celebrating green of hope. Truth, after all, can never die. So that was just a poem to give almost a summary of Muharram, and it was just giving some examples of what occurred during Muharram and the Battle of Karbala. So now we're going to move on to a few more questions. And first of all, Sister Alicia, why did Imam Hussein put up so many tents?
He put up the tents for the women and the children to sleep in.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And where did Imam Hussein put his tents up?
He put the tents by the river so it'd be easier to get water for everyone.
MashaAllah. And then, so why did he move them after?
Because Yazid's army came and Imam Hussein did not wish to fight with them, so he respectfully moved away.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And where did Imam Hussein alayhi salam put the tents instead?
He put them by the hills.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. So those were just a few more facts about Muharram and also this day of Muharram, which is the first, and also about the arrival in Karbala and what occurred during the arrival. And now we're going to move on to another poem, and Sister Alicia has this for us.
The saviour of Islam, the leader of Islam, the hero of Islam, Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. You saved Islam by giving your life. The courage and patience you had in your life to sacrifice yourself was easy in life. Hussein, Hussein, Hussein.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And that continues with what I have here. You gave your family but never complained. You had no water but never complained. Your family was tortured but you never complained. Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. Without resting day and night, fought with Yazid to show us the right. From the darkness of life you brought us to the light. Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. So that's just a small poem explaining about Imam Hussein and explaining what he did during the Battle of Karbala. And now we're going to finish off with a few more questions. And first of all, I'd like to ask Sister Alicia, why did Hazrat Abbas listen to Imam Hussein when he was told to move the tents?
Because Hazrat Abbas believed that Imam Hussein was like a master and he should follow his every command.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And who would have been in Imam Hussein's army?
Like his family and his followers, because they believe in what he does, so they'd fight for Islam.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. And that concludes about the 1st of Muharaam and the arrival in Karbala, and we'll be back after the break with a craft segment related to our topic today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to Little Mourners. I'm your host, Alvia Zaidi, and we'll be talking about the 1st of Muharaam, and this part is the craft segment. And now, to reintroduce my guest, I have Sister Alicia, and previously she was sharing stories and questions about the 1st of Muharaam, and now this part we'll be talking and sharing about these little tents, and we'll be teaching you how to create them. So these are really simple tents to make, and they're made out of origami, and they're to represent the tents that Imam Hussein alayhi salam pitched up when he arrived in Karbala. And as you may remember from the show previously, Imam Hussein alayhi salam pitched up these tents next to the river, but because Yazid's army had came and told them to move, he moved them out of respect and because he did not want to battle. So we'll be teaching you how to make these very simple tents. Now all you will need is a square piece of paper. My guest Sister Alicia is joining in with today's craft, and we have square pieces of paper. Now as you may know from previous origami segments, but origami is a Japanese art, and it involves square pieces of paper and folding them in several different shapes and ways to create different objects. And for this origami we're using a piece of cream paper, but you can use any kind of colour you want, and you can also use any size of paper you want. For example, if you want to take an A4 piece of paper and fold it and cut off the extra to make a square, then you can do that too, but we're just using this simple size here. Now the first thing you need to do to make a tent is fold it over so the colour side is towards the table or towards you, so depending on how you're doing it, and you take the top corner and you take it towards this corner at the bottom. So you're just going to fold it towards the corner and then crease this line up here. And then, so you just might want to use a stable surface, so a table or a book to lean on, and you just match it up as close as possible, and then you crease it down, like so. So you just crease it down, and then you can get your nail and just fold it even more, like so. Then you have a triangle shape ready to be made. So then you open it out, so you've got the non-coloured side again, and what you're going to do, you're going to take the opposite corner and then you're going to fold it to the other side so that it creates a line through the other middle, so you have a cross in the middle of your page. So you're going to do exactly the same thing but on the other side of the paper. So it's done like this, and it should look like this, so it have a straight line, and as you may be able to see, a line down here and a line across there. And then what you're going to do, you're just going to open it up again. So now you have the white side here, and you're going to take this edge and match it to the edge here. So it's folding it in half. So you just fold it in half. So now you have a shape like this, and if you look closely on your page, you should have a triangle on either side, and it's folded in half. Now the next bit is quite tricky, so you might want a help from an adult, but what you're going to do, you're going to keep hold of your paper from here, and then open the sides out gently and push it in. So you have this fold here, and you're going to push it in until it goes in and fold it back out, like Sister Alicia has done there. And then you're going to do exactly the same to the other side. So you hold it in the center or in any kind of place for you which is comfortable. You push in the edge and you tuck it in between your page. So now you should have a shape that looks like this. And if you look closely, you have this little open bit, which is where you've just tucked in the other section. Now what you're going to do is take one part of it and you're going to fold it towards the middle so it has a straight edge. So I'll just do that and show you. So you fold it towards the middle so that a straight line forms from the middle. So what you've done exactly here, so then you have this little bit sticking out from the bottom, and as you can see, here's the middle of the paper and this bit tucks in like so. And then you're going to do exactly the same with this side of your origami so it matches in. Then you're going to turn it over and do exactly the same thing. So you can just get that bit done. So as you can see, now you have this section done, and then you're going to turn it over and do exactly the same thing so they look exactly the same. And so you have your shape right now like this. And at this very moment in time, it looks a bit like a tie because you've just folded the triangle edges over from into the center. Now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it upside down so you have the little point at the top, and then you just open it up very slightly, and if you look inside you have these little edges which you can tuck these pieces inside of it. So just so show Sister Alicia, you have this little edge and you take one section of the little things that you just folded over and you tuck it inside into the tent. So let me show you again. You take one side, and because it's open here, you take this side and you tuck it into your little tent shape at the moment. And then they should be tucked in, and then you get this straight edge but this little fold here. And do exactly the same to the other side. So you open it out a little bit and then you tuck in the little corners into so it's stuck in, and do exactly the same for all 4 pieces. And then so it should look a bit of a weird shape, and then you can just open it out into a square base, and then you have your tent. So it's a really fast and simple way to make a tent to represent the tents that Imam Hussein pitched up in the field of Karbala. And as you can see, Sister Alicia has successfully made hers, and now we have a little collection of tents all made together. Here on the table we have a little collection of tents, and you can make several of those, and you can just play around with them, use different colours, and they just represent the tents from the Battle of Karbala. So I hope you now know how to make some simple tents, and I hope you have an understanding of the first of Muharaam, and I hope you enjoyed today's show out of the information and learnt more about the arrival in Karbala and the first of Muharaam. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next show of Muharaam. Thank you very much, and Khuda Hafiz.